Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our 37 chapters, spanning from the Triangle, which is Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, all the way down to New Bern and Jacksonville and Moorhead, and all points in between. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in our chapters is to help our fellow members grow their book of business. Each week we follow the Giver's Gain motto in BNI, and we're looking out for each other. Our local small business success story this week is Shane Gentry, owner of Nanny's Revenge Fishing Charter. Shane is in the Morehead City chapter called Sales, Sails, to Sales, Sales. Love the name. They
Who came
meet
up with that?
I don't know. They meet Tuesday mornings in Morehead City, at 8:30 in the morning at the Parks and Rec building. Shane, how are you today?
And if I was any better, I'd be Mike Manning.
There you go, man. I like it. I like it. So congratulations on your empire growing. So let me kind of set the scene here. So not only is Shane the owner and captain of Nanny's Revenge Fishing Charter, he also started Sally Said So dog training, which is at least U.S. recognized, if not world recognized on some of their training. So dog captain, dog trainer, ship's captain, musician, and former podcaster. So we got a lot of things to talk about. All right, Shane, the first question for me. I love company names. Tell me the
Mm.
story of Nanny's Revenge.
Nanny's Revenge. Well, the name came. It's named after my mom. She passed in January last year, or 20 whatever 25 January. No, 4 whatever it was. Not this past January, the one before that. And so she was a huge inspiration in my life. I watched her, raise me and my sister, single mom, the whole 9 yards. The tough life that comes with that kind of upbringing. And then, but watched her start her own business. She was a hairdresser for like 50 something years, and so when that happened, it just kind of made me think a little bit about like life and regrets and things. And I thought to myself, I'd never had a regret for anything I've ever done, but I would have a regret for things that I have not done. And being at the coast, living here at the coast, being out on the water was something that was put into us really early. I've got pictures of me and my sister standing on the beach at Bogue Inlet Pier when we were just old enough to stand up. So I just seemed it appropriate to name it after her.
I assume when you went to the Secretary of State website to grab said name, it was available. Nanny's Revenge.
Totally, there was no kickback, no pushback, no. I didn't have to look twice.
So there are many things I'm interested in with small business owners, and in no particular order. One of them is always, is there a small business gene in your bloodline? And it is. Your mom had her own business.
Yep, she started a hair salon called Hair Waves. It was in Cary, North Carolina. She probably, man, it got five. It had to been maybe early '90s, maybe even earlier than that. Um, Hang on one second. I got a. There we go. Sorry about that. I had a phone ring in. I thought I had it turned off. My bad. Um, oh, one second. There we go. So yeah, and we didn't have two nickels to rub together. I don't know how. I still to this day don't know how she did it. But she owned it for a few years and sold it to her sister, who just recently sold it a handful of years ago. But it stayed in the family for a long time. And but I always remember her uh, telling me, she's like, "You ain't gonna tell me where to be and when to be there and how to be there. I'm gonna be there when I tell you I'm gonna be there."
But
So I
that's
guess that's where I got it from.
yeah, but that's one of the reasons why we start our own businesses, right? All right,
Correct.
so let's go back into the Wayback Machine. We'll get to Sally Said So and Nanny's Revenge. But how old were you when you had your first job of any kind?
9.
All right, what'd you do?
Working in a field. We were like at that time sort of modern day sharecroppers. We lived on this farm, and my mom couldn't afford to pay the rent completely, so we had to go out and work. We pick beans and shuck corn and work the horse barns and stuff like that. Just kind of ease up on the rent a little bit back in those days. But that was the first time I actually had job.
And
Yeah.
how many jobs before you graduated high school did you have?
Oh God,
That's what I
all
figured.
of all of them.
Cut
Every
grass, newspaper route, all that?
whatever it took, man. It was most of the time. Most of the work though I did in the summers. I primed tobacco from the time I was probably late middle school all the way through till I graduated. Um, and I baled hay. I laid brick when I was in high school, and but it all worked out. I mean, when I was 7, I graduated high school when I was 17, and literally went to graduation in a U-Haul with all my stuff in it. I'd already bought a single wide trailer up in the Apex, Holly Springs area. I purchased it off my dad, and I left graduation. I went home.
That you thought you were the richest guy in town too, weren't you?
You couldn't tell me nothing. I'm like, you tell your friends so they can go on home back to your mama's house. I'm going to my house.
Nice. All right, so we'll get Sally Said So in a second.
Sure.
Nanny's Revenge.
Mm.
The idea to start it was thought about when, and when did you finally decide to do it?
Okay. I've always wanted to do it. It's been something I've talked about and thought about and dreamt about for years. I've always chartered boats. So, I mean, I've been out 100 times, deep sea fishing. I just something about watching the dirt disappear. That's my happy place. Watching that shoreline, the further you get, this, and she's gone. And so my happiest place is 60 miles offshore. And so just in the with the passing of my mom, that's when it really kind of came. I think I sat down and talked to my wife Emily about it, and I told her, I said, I'd really like to pursue this. I said, but there's one thing in the way, and that was getting my captain's license. I haven't been a student in about 35 years, and I wasn't a real good student when I was one. So I kind of said, well, let me see if I can pass the class first. And if I could pass the class, then we went boat shopping.
But that was a different kind of learning because now it's a passion that you wanted to have instead of, I got to do chemistry and math in 10th grade.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah. This one I was all in. It was easy to learn. And oddly enough, captain's class has nothing to do with running a charter. They teach you how to run the big tankers and the big
Oh.
giant ships that come into port and everything. It doesn't have anything to do about running a boat with, science on it. It's strange that that's the certification, but that's the way they do it. So,
What was the what were the first couple of things you learned about the business once you got your license, you got the boat, like, oh my, I guess we're in business. What are the first couple of things you learned about running this business?
this business, I learned really quick that there is a very, very strong good old boy club. And if you ain't in it, you ain't in it. And which actually I don't want to be in anyways. I mean, I've always carved my own path,
Mm.
found my own clients, done my own thing. I don't go where they go. I don't, I'm just, it's like, ultimately when you're on the water, all that stuff goes away. If there's an emergency, everybody within earshot comes a running, no matter what the affiliation or friendship or this thing or that thing. But that was very prevalent from the get go when I started advertising that I was, going to be open for business soon and everything else. I mean, it was third grade BS, to put it nicely.
And Shane and I go back to at least 2014 when I
Mm.
joined BNI for the first time. You were in RD23 with me. Was that your first BNI chapter?
Not quite, because I think I started. So I started Sally Said So in 2009,
No.
and I was in shortly after that. I was in a BNI group. So I think by the time we met, I don't think I was in it for that full time, but I was in a couple of groups before we met, if I'm not mistaken.
And so I say that to say this, that I will confirm that there is no pattern for this man. He does. If he tells you I'm gonna do what I want to do, you better believe him. But
Get out of the way.
it's got him this far. Do you remember your first paid trip on your boat? And who was it and how nervous were you?
So first trip was a good friend of mine named Brandon Shepard. He owns Shepherd Barbecue. Shout out to those guys down in Wilmington. They were here on Emerald Isle, but moved down there. You can see him on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and all kinds of things. But he was my fishing buddy. We would go. He always had Mondays and Tuesdays off, or Sundays and Mondays off, so we would go fish. So he just that was his downtime besides running the barbecue shop. But the first paid client, so he was the first client. He caught the first fish. He caught a fish before I caught a fish on my own boat. Uh, let's see, first paid. I don't even be honest with you. I don't remember who it was. Because it was just like I was so excited to go. Let's just let's just go. Uh, I really don't recall who the first paying client was, but I do remember that Brandon was the first fish caught on the boat.
Very nice. What type? All right, so you have one of those uh, businesses and BNI seats that are it's kind of luxury.
Mhm,
You don't need to do it, but it's
mhm.
probably on a lot of people's bucket list. So, what types of who's calling you these days to go out on your boat with you?
So I get well again, like I said, I find my own path,
Mhm.
right? And so there's two sides to this. There's obviously the average person that just wants to go fishing, or but I love first timers. That's my favorite, man. I love it when somebody has been nervous to charter or because they think they have to have experience. Um, so I found my way to a lot of first timers just through the marketing and advertising, social media. Um, there's also a B2B version of what we're doing because being self-employed, I'm really sensitive to making sure that my people that work for me are well taken care of and spoiled rotten, and know that they're appreciated. So we have a business to business option as well, which is where kind of BNI kicked in. Most of the referrals have been like, I'm looking for other business owners that take taking care of their employees very seriously. So people have been using it for client or employee incentives when they meet their goals. They buy them a fishing trip. It's a unique opportunity and fairly inexpensive in the sense of what it would take to take the whole company out somewhere. It's definitely going to leave a lasting impression.
And way better than getting in a monogram shirt and hat. Uh,
Of course,
so wait,
everybody comes on the boat gets
they
a free shirt
oh,
and
love
a
that.
and a can of peanuts from one of our sponsors, Kakalaki.
Love that. But again, and in a way, you're selling an experience.
Sure, absolutely. That's the number one thing. When they come back home, we've been out and not caught fish before. It happens. It doesn't happen very much, or at least not caught what they went out for. I mean, there's 90% of the fish are only in 10% of the water. They're kind of hard to find sometimes. So, um, but they all come back with 5-star reviews and giant tips because they had a good time.
When you in a normal trip, how many people can fit on your boat?
So I'm licensed for six, and I can take six. Um, if we're fishing offshore, though, four is the most comfortable for my size boat. I've got a 26-foot 2025 268 Sea Fox Commander, and it can definitely fit more. But if we're 6 or 8 lines off the back of the boat, and we got people everywhere. And when the lines go off, when the Wahoo hits, I mean, it's four. Four is the most comfortable. Six is what I'm licensed for. That
I would imagine you get all kinds of questions and a constant barrage of questions.
absolutely, that's my favorite. Those are those first timers. That's the ones that I love. 'Cause I'll sit them at right beside me on the captain's chair, and we look at all the electronics. I've got dual screens. I've got one for the sonar, one for my navigation, and they all. "Well, what does this number mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?" I take them through the whole process. So when they get off the boat, they're like, "Man, we actually not only we catch some fish, but we learned something too." Like why are we using this lure in this place, and the water temperature, and the wind, and the waves, and the all the stuff that goes into finding them.
For those of us who don't fish, we do know that all that stuff matters, right?
Yeah.
Information is what you're
Yes.
looking for.
Correct.
Nice.
We plan for days before we go on a trip. I mean, we're watching satellite. We've got apps out the yin yang. We got there's everything. I've got Sirius XM, fish mapping on the boat. I've got radar on the boat. We know we can watch storms. We can watch cloud cover. We can watch waves and wind. And I mean, we put a lot of time into making sure that we end up in the right spot.
Do you know enough to be a fill-in weekend weatherman?
My wife thinks so. Every morning she goes, "All right, Captain, what's the weather like today? What do I need to wear?"
How many days a week do you go out, and how many trips can you do a day?
Dude, I would go every daggone day of the week. And if you got 8 days in a week, I would do that too. Um, it is literally my favorite thing to do, my favorite place to be. But realistically, the ocean is not always open.
Ah.
There's something called inshore fishing. That is if you don't go out of the outlet, or I mean, out of the inlet, excuse me. And that type of fishing is not my favorite. I'm not that passionate about it. Therefore, I'm not that good at it. Therefore, I don't really offer it. In business, it is smart to, we all got to do what we got to do to keep the lights on and keep the bills paid. But this particular business, I have a couple of lines that I'm really trying not to cross where I'm doing something just for the paycheck versus because I love it. So um, we have enough clients in the queue at this point that when the good ocean days are available, um, we usually don't have very much problem filling the boat up.
From a marketing standpoint, um, you how do you get the word out now that you know what you know and kind of have a feel for what types of people, be it first timers or corporate, are looking for something like this?
Lots of social media, lots of social media. We're I'm posting 2 or 3 pieces of content almost every day. The YouTube channel is starting to grab some decent traffic, and people are starting to engage with the content rather than just view it. Um, that's where a lot of it's come from. Um, we've got a decent email list that I'll send information out to. Like I've got a trip this Friday on the whatever the 20th, and I've already sent out an email blast this morning to our client base, and we're getting multiples. We've got people that have booked just in the 1 year that this is my 1 year anniversary in business this month, and we've got people that have already booked me 3 times
Wow,
this year.
very
So
nice.
the repeat business is starting to become a real thing, which is
Yep.
really good.
Oh yeah. Uh, from a customer experience, you've learned what over the last year that keeps making every trip with you better?
Ask questions, find out, learn about them.
Nice.
They're on the boat. They already know about you, me. You know, um, people love to tell you about their lives and
Mhm.
their and themselves, and I'm interested. I'm genuinely interested in who I've got on the boat. I need to make sure if I need to throw them off when we get to the Gulf Stream or not.
But I'm with you. Most people won't stand up in a crowded room and brag on themselves, but they'll sit for an hour and answer questions, tell stories. They don't
Oh
feel
yeah,
like, yeah. So I'm with you on that. People, and you learn,
yeah.
like, one of the reasons I love this show is I learn something new every week.
Hmm.
I learned that the ocean is not always open. So that's the first
It
thing
is
I've learned
not,
today. So,
dude. Especially today. I mean,
yeah.
it's so deceiving too because if you look out, I mean, I live on the intercoastal. Right out this window behind me, 50 yards is the intercoastal waterway, and it's smooth as a baby's bottom right now. But if you go out the inlet, it's 6 foot waves.
Mm. And if somebody books you today and can't go out today, are they pretty understanding?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because where I'm not. Yeah, look, one thing you have to do is respect the ocean. I
Mhm.
mean, it is it's the ocean,
It'll win.
and
Yeah.
yeah, we don't mess around. If it doesn't look safe, if it's not safe, we don't go. And I'm not, That's just the bottom line.
Right. So when we met the first time, you were knee deep into Sally Said So, your
Hmm.
dog training company, and it has since
Hmm.
grown. You're still doing that.
Certainly.
How did that name come about?
Sally was my dog. She was a very special little Boston Terrier. Uh, I got her when I was, yeah, I was in bad shape. Recently divorced, out on my butt, living in a buddy's spare bedroom in a trailer that couldn't or shouldn't have dogs. And I come home with a puppy one day, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Anyway, but now Sally, um, she changed my life. That dog, that's one of those, I don't know who saved who. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I just saw it fit to name it after her. She passed about God, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, maybe ish.
I like that. And
Um,
as I was doing my intel this weekend for the interview, you have gotten a lot of citations and recognition around the country for the type of training you do. I got to
yeah,
believe that's pretty satisfying.
it is. It is. We started out completely by accident being almost exclusively veterinarian referred. And Clayton, I walked into Clayton Animal Hospital 17 years ago and introduced myself. And one of the techs in the office spoke up and said she had a dog with a problem. She'd tried every trainer in town. And so I went to her house after hours, solved the problem. She went back the next morning, told everybody I wasn't crazy, and my phone started ringing. I booked my first client just like that.
There you
And
go.
I would love to say it was my big giant master plan to have a veterinarian, almost exclusively veterinarian referred dog training company. But it started there, and so I was like, oh wow, vets will refer dog trainers. And then you fast forward to last year, we had 397 individual hospitals in North Carolina refer our services, and that is enough work to employ 16 full-time dog trainers. We cover the Crystal Coast, the Triangle, Triad, Charlotte, and Greenville, South Carolina.
And that's awesome. So here's a story I don't think I've ever shared with you before. So back when Shane and I were in our BNI chapter, Michael Martin, who's the mortgage lender,
Oh yeah.
Michael was sitting behind me one day, and I don't know if you were the speaker or this was the thank you round at the end of the meeting, but he thanked you for training his dog. And
Mhm.
you and I knew each other a little bit, and I'd heard 2 or 3 people say, like, you gotta call Shane." And I leaned back and I looked at Michael, I said, "Is this for real?" He goes, "Oh, it's way better than that. I can't even explain how good my dog is now." So I'm like, "Okay." But
Yeah, yeah,
but yet some people swear they can train their own dog, and a lot of them are just so wrong, aren't they?
yeah, yeah. But to an extent, we operate kind of uniquely in that behavior problems are simply defined as what you perceive to be one. So if it don't bother you, it doesn't bother me, right? So like if you came to my house and saw my dog at my house, you probably wouldn't hire me because it's not a problem for me, at my house. So it's really, that's one of the things that makes it an experience for the client that way is we don't come in judging, like even with Michael Martin. I mean, that I came, what do you want from your
Mm.
dog at your house? And it's catered to that. It's not this, you know, dog trainers are just like charter captains.
Now, I think that was the first time I'd ever heard from somebody, especially a dog trainer, who says, "We train the humans."
Yeah, yeah,
And but it's like parenting, you gotta reinforce it, right?
certainly, certainly. I mean, you're looking at my dog's problem. The difference is now if Lemmy doesn't respond to something that I know that he knows, it's not damn it Lemmy, it's damn it Shane. You know, I got to tighten me up, and that in turn tightens him back up because he's just the dog's just walking around all day going, "Is this bad? Is this bad? Is this bad?" If the environment doesn't say no, it's fine.
I
Doesn't
s
matter what it is.
On Twitter the other day, I forget who it was, some comedian was talking about, that your wife is talking about for to husbands, "Your wife is not your best friend, your dog is." He said, "I can prove this." Put your wife and the dog in the trunk for 2 hours, open up the trunk, and then guess who's happy to see you?
Yeah, that's very true.
I thought I
That's a
didn't
good one.
no more explanation needed on that, and he's right
No,
on that. So,
no, I'm gonna
s
steal that actually.
there you go. So Sally Said So and Nanny's Revenge, which was I I don't wanna say which was the hardest one to start, but tell me about the differences in starting each of those.
Um, well, when I started Sally Said So, it was just uh it was just the universe, really. Um, that was a so I had just gotten injured at my last job. I couldn't continue with it, and this I promise I'm gonna get to your answer. I had just gotten my tax return check that year. It was April 2009. It was about $3,500. I had about $3,500 worth of bills that I had accrued being on workers' comp and not drawing a full paycheck. And it just so happened that my first certification as a dog trainer was $3,500. So
Boom.
yeah, I threw the bills in the burn pile out back, set them on fire, and paid my tuition to Animal Behavior College. So the first business, to answer the question though, the first business was just um like I'm allergic to punching time clocks. I mean, like the fear of that is a giant motivator. So back then I was running on um just I'm going to outwork everybody. You know, it was I'm going to work harder, I'm going to work longer, I'm going to whatever it takes. Even today, 17 years in, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning sitting at my computer doing all the stuff that I dreamt up at night. You know, while I was asleep, I'm coming up with ideas. I get up in the morning, I implement them. Um, building. So the first one was just what Sally Said So until I got a real rhythm and and some success with it was just well, if you're going to be dumb, you better be tough. I'll just say that. This business, I'm just fearless. I mean, there's nothing. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever going. Yeah, send it. I know it's if I'm relying on me, I know it's going to work. You know, and in addition, I helped my wife start her own business. We actually she owns a dog treat bakery and boutique in Morehead City. So
The
she
pup
watched
cakes,
me.
right?
Yeah,
Cupcakes, yep.
pupcaketreats.com. Yeah, she watched. Yeah, was when we first met. Yeah, I did not have much potential. And I told her that too. I was like, "You're catching me at a really bad time. I just started, but if you give me a minute, I promise you, I'm going to be a successful dog trainer one day, and I'll be able to take care of you." And I fulfilled that, you know. But she watched me, you know, go through a lot of all the trials and the things of the hard times and the great times and all the times, and she's you know now on her journey too, which is equally as satisfying to watch her
Oh, yeah, I
as
bet.
building my own.
So looking at Nanny's Revenge, from the Sally Said So standpoint, just from the business aspect, paying the quarterly taxes, filing paperwork, being the last line of defense, all that stuff. What did you learn from Sally Said So that you applied to Nanny's Revenge that kind of helped speed things up?
Well, I've got people that do Sally Said So, so I don't. That one's not on my plate. I've got to they handle that, but I had to get it to the point how to do it, and it's a lot easier to do with the charter because it's just me. It's just a boat, you know. So the keeping up with everything is simple. You know, it's nothing more than I don't even really have a QuickBooks account yet. I mean, it's a handful. It's gas, ice, gas, 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 some more gas.
So, all right, well, let's talk about that for a second because there's things going on right now that impact your world. So, I'm not going to get into anything. How big of a gas tank do you have on that boat, and how long can you go on that boat with that gas tank?
It holds 140 gallons and get about I average about 2 miles to the gallon.
Oh, like a car you probably used to own way back in the day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So one trip to the Gulf Stream is about we burn about 80 gallons,
Wow.
and that's about 350 $400. So like when people look at the why people charge so much to charter a boat,
Mm,
it's just simply the water where the fish are 50 miles from our from the inlet here. And if you get up into Hatteras, it's only an 18-mile ride to the Gulf Stream from there. But so there's all that stuff. But like, so me and my wife, we go to Aruba every year, and I usually charter a boat down there. I can buy a plane ticket and charter my own boat, where it's me, the mate, and the captain. I catch all the fish. Nobody else on the boat. I'm not sharing with anybody for less than I can run my own boat here, because
so
they're already where the fish are. You leave the island and you put the lines in the water.
so
There's
what
no
I'm
expense.
hearing is one day, the next time you're on the show, you will have started your BNI chapter and business in Aruba.
Yes. And I'll probably own about 6 gas stations or something. I don't know. I might have to find some way to keep gassing.
Is there a business model to add a second boat to
Ooh,
Nanny's Revenge?
my brain thinks about that a lot.
Yeah.
And then my common sense says,
Yeah.
stop it,
Yep.
stop it, stop it, stop it.
But
Right? Maybe.
but you know enough now to throw in that second comment.
Oh God, yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
reality in business, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's not out of the realm of possibilities by any means. It's going to be a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
enjoy. This isn't something like with the dog training business. I mean, thankfully, I work. You reach a point with your business where you start working on it and you stop working in it, and that's where I've been with the training business for a long time now. Probably, I don't know, at least the last 10 years, maybe 8. Is where that's where the real growth happened. So I'm out here working on the big picture while everybody's in here working on the stuff that's filtering in from out here. And so with the charter, like, I mean, and even with the dog training business, I love dogs. I love training, but I love the business. And I get more fulfillment out of continuing the business part of the training, but I get more enjoyment out of the doing of the charter, because I like catching fish, but I love being the one that puts you on them. And then you have that experience to go back and tell your friends and family. And that's, and we got a couple of, if you get to it, I got a couple of unique services that we do with the boat to keep that
Yep.
vibe.
Yep. We'll come back to that second. Um, with regard to Sally Said So, when did you know that, okay, this is going to work? I can make a decent living out of this.
When I moved out of my car,
Fair enough.
the first, yeah, no, the first 6 months of the business, I lived in my car. Um, then I moved into a house that didn't have any heat, no air conditioning. It was just it was like an old farmhouse, but like, to me, I already won the game. Like, I don't think there was ever any doubt. I don't think I ever had that moment where I went like, okay, like, small brain thinking. At my last job, I was driving tractor trailer for Papa John's, delivering stocking stores up and down the East Coast at all over at 24 hours a day. I was making about $50 an hour doing that. When I started Sally Said So, I paid myself $50 an hour. That's what I charge clients. I was like, dude, if I stayed at Papa John's for 497 years, never am I going to make $50 an hour. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like you remember the movie The Goonies, when they find the printing press in the thing, and the dude's holding up sheets of $50 bills going, we found the treasure. We got $50. Like, I felt like that kid. I was like, I'm making $50 an hour. You
Yeah.
can't tell me nothing. The only problem I had was no hour.
Yes. Yeah. Because then you're booking yourself like, okay, if I do the math, if I work 28 hours a day, I'm going to make it.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, so in that regard, I never, it never, I don't think I ever thought it wasn't going to work. Like, because I was so okay with living with as little as I could get by with, and still to this day, I still have one drawer. Like if it don't fit in that drawer in the dresser, I don't own it. Like it's just to keep it in check. Well, no, I got the iPhone. I do have two. I got two drawers.
Okay. I
I got a
figured
second
things were
one,
good. One for a Sally
but
Said So drawer and an Annie's
yeah,
Revenge drawer.
yeah, I
Yeah.
got one
Yep.
for these shirts and I got one for my Sally shirts.
Uh,
But yeah, I don't think I ever thought it wouldn't work.
Yep. And one of the things I've learned from successful, really anybody successful, whether it be business or not, is you have an official and an unofficial team. And usually the unofficial team is the family. So
Yeah.
I always enjoy asking the question to my married guest here. Your
Hmm.
wife's name is Emily.
Yep.
So how did you two meet? And do you both tell the story the same way?
We do tell the story the same way. We met online, and we had a really interesting story. I'll make it concise, but she came along and scared the daylights out of me. She was nice and polite and considerate, and I had no concept of what that was like in a partner. So I ghosted her.
Oh,
I quit calling her for like a year. Um, and one day she happened to pop up on my Facebook feed, and I was like, I really need to fix that. I need to right that wrong. So I wrote an email 7 miles long, about what kind of a ding dong I was, and I was so sorry. And it wasn't because I was being a jerk. It was because I just didn't know. I just kept waiting for the bad stuff. It's like I'm just waiting, I'm waiting, and it never came. It freaked me out. Um, so after writing and deleting this message 1,000 times, I was still playing music at that time, and I had a gig coming up on that Friday. And the message I actually sent her was after a year of not speaking to her was, "Hey, I got a gig on Friday. You want to come?"
solid.
She said, "Yes." That
Nice.
was it,
With confidence, you sent it out there, right?
dude. I grabbed her by the shoulders and I looked her in the eye and I said, "You are never getting out of my sight again." And that was then she's sitting right there. 13 years later.
Well, good. I love those stories. And
Yeah.
it's always funny because sometimes the guys will say, "Oh yeah, we tell the same way," and a lot of times the wife will be next to them like, "We do not,"
No,
So
that's the official
yeah.
story.
So a
That's what
year.
I told her to tell you
Yeah, there
anyway.
you go. Well, when I see her next, I'm going to pull her aside. All right, Emily, I got some
Right, right,
notes
right.
here I need to confirm.
Yep. She's in BNI now too,
I
so
know
you
she's in your chapter.
might be able to interview
Oh yeah, we
her.
will do that. We'll absolutely do that. All right. So you have a degree or certification from the Animal Behavior College. Where is
Yep.
that?
It's in California. It started out back when I took it. It was a little bit online, but it was actually they send you a giant curriculum of books, and you take all the tests, you read all the curriculum. I had to do an internship or externship with a animal behavior college trainer, mentor person
Mhm.
to kind of prove that I did the course or what have you to get certified. Um, that oddly enough is the least of any qualification or certification that we have now. The dog training business is actually unregulated. It is not a requirement to have a license. It is not required to have a certification. You don't have to have anything. You can wake up tomorrow morning and go Mike Manning's dog training service, and nobody can tell you that you can't.
But
You don't
what
even have
I
to be insured.
Yep, but what I like about small business owners is I don't have to have this, but let me tell you why you need to hire me because we are like I'm sure a lot of dog sitters, or not a lot, are CPR trained.
Hmm.
And again, this goes back to your ideal client. They want value and they're willing to
Yep.
pay for it. So your certification, I'm sure, has brought a lot of people to the okay, when can you start point of a conversation.
give you a list of what they are now because it is long as my arm.
Yep.
Um, we are certified through Animal Behavior College. We're dual certified with Canine Trade Group. Then the stuff that really means something started to happen. So in the veterinary world, and since that very first referral, we've been exclusively veterinarian referred. You get a little bit of Google, a little bit of friends and family, telling somebody, but 95% of the business comes directly from a veterinarian, just like a prescription. The veterinarians have to have continuing education hours every year, just like human doctors do to retain their licenses. We are the only dog training company in the entire state of North Carolina that's approved by the North Carolina Veterinary Medical Board to offer veterinarians continuing education hours towards their licenses on the topic of dog behavior.
Wow.
That's number one. Number two, and now we have 8 hours of continuing education that we offer North Carolina veterinarians. We are also race approved. Race approval is the Registry of Approved Continuing Education that is managed through the American Association of Veterinary State Boards. That is my nationwide accreditation to offer continuing education hours to veterinarians nationwide, which I do from time to time. I get flown out to this state, that state, whatever state, and offer. We're speaking at the South Carolina Vet Conference coming up in June.
Cool.
We are the only CE and race approved dog trainer in the state. We are, I'm also now and have been for about 4 years on the board of directors for the North Carolina Veterinary Medical Association.
Nice.
Again, one of one, never been done before. We are affiliated with Fear Free. We just got our human animal bond certification, which is not a dog trainer certification. That is a veterinarian certification that we got anyways because it aligns with our approach to the human animal bond, which that says it all right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And a list of a gabillion more that I'd bore you to death with, but those are the major
Nice.
ones: the CE race approval and the board of directors for NCVMA. That means
Congrats.
I'm on the board of directors for the governing agency over veterinarians in North Carolina, and I'm just a little old dog trainer from Clayton.
Yep. Who knew he's going to make it when he moved out of his car? I like that. All right. So now towards the end of the show, this is the no overthinking allowed round. Okay. Snow or no snow?
No snow.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
What is something people assume about your business that is totally wrong?
That anybody can do it.
Yeah. Just need a boat. That's all they're thinking, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I was in dog brain
There
still.
you go.
But
Either one. Yeah. I'm sure
yeah, well, yeah, both. I mean, they say, oh, you just get on the boat and take people fishing. Yeah.
if and when they make a movie about you, who plays you?
Oh, Jesus.
No, he can't. No.
Ah!
You can play him, but he can't play you yet. So.
Right. Who would play me in a God, I don't
All right,
know, man. That's you
tell
got me
Emily
on that one.
tell Emily to think on that. We'll come back to that, okay?
Yeah.
Is your email inbox organized or chaotic?
There's only about 2 emails in it at any given time. As soon as it comes in, I deal with it and I delete it.
Nice. All right. What is one word your team, either Sally Said So or Nanny's Revenge, would use one word used to describe you as a boss?
Driven.
Nice. All right. Focused and driven, and they learn from it, huh?
Absolutely. You got to
Okay.
lead by example.
All right. So you and I are the proud members of the Grandparents Club. So
Yes.
you have kids and grandkids, and you just recently had another grandchild. So
Mhm.
congratulations.
And one
So,
on the way.
oh, nice. Even better, man. So
Yes, sir.
when you were either today or back in the day, when you were chatting with your children about helping them learn things about life, okay? In your head, while you're saying that, were you hearing your mother or your father?
Mother. 100%.
And did you stop yourself occasionally and go, "Oh, my mom used to say that to me."
Yes.
Uh, morning person or evening person?
Morning.
2026. What makes you most excited about for Nanny's Revenge for 2026?
Expanding the fishery experience. Really looking right now, Wahoo is sort of that's the that's the goal. But I'm kind of going down the swordfish rabbit hole right now. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most is going out and figuring out, learning, and accomplishing
Okay, I like that.
boating a swordfish.
Yep, and you wanted to touch on a couple of services that you guys have.
Yes. So something unique that again inspired by my mom. Um, we have an ash scattering service.
Nice.
I did that for my mom. We spread her ashes out in the ocean, and I was telling a friend about that, and we've actually had. They mentioned that I should offer that to people. So we actually have that as a service now, where you can rent the boat. I help you pick your spot out in the ocean. We screenshot the GPS coordinates so that you can. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who I did this for, and I got his GPS coordinates tattooed. But you can take the GPS coordinates, you can make mementos and little tchotchkes out of them if you wanted, and you can always go back to that spot, whether it's with me or with
Yep.
any other boat if you find yourself out in the ocean. Um, we've got surround sound on the boats. They can have their own playlist during their ceremony. It's private. It's just me on the boat with the family. There's no mate or anybody else. We video the entire experience if they wish to have it. So that I bring it back and I edit all the clips and I send them a link to their video so they'll have it to show folks. And we also have Starlink on the boat so that they can stream live via FaceTime or
Oh,
whatever other
wow.
app. Yeah, so they can do that back on the and as for pets, we tie it all back to the dogs. So we've had more people come on the boat and do their pets' ashes than people's. And then we had one set of folks, both of their parents had passed and their parents' dogs had passed, and they had them all in the same urn together. And, you know, that
That's
was pretty amazing.
that's new. Alright,
Yeah, that was an experience.
alright, for future business owners,
Mm.
if they've watched the show, they're, unbelievably, excited for hearing your story and like, "Oh, okay, I think I could do something like that." What's 2 things they gotta have ready or in mind to be in place to start any kind of business?
No plan B. If you
Oh,
got a plan B, you're not all in on plan A, and it's very rarely successful. I've learned that lesson the hard way. I kept my Class A CDLs for about the first 3 years of the business, of the training business, um, and I didn't really take off until I let that lapse. Um, there's something psychological about, well, if this doesn't work, I can always fall back on that. If you got a fallback plan, you're already setting yourself up to fail,
interesting. I like that.
in my opinion. It's
Yeah.
too easy. It's too easy to say, man, this is getting tough. I don't want to do it. I can just do this thing that's I already know how to do. It's easy. I got history. No, no. It, and you got to have so you got to have that no plan B. And I would say if you don't have one already, you need to develop an authority problem.
Please explain.
I'm not the one you're gonna tell where to be, how to be, when to be. I'll I'll be there because
I
I said I'm gonna be
I like that.
there.
I like that. Alright, so
Yeah.
people can find so let's a couple things here before we go.
Yes.
Nanny's Revenge Fishing Charter.com.
No, emeraldislecharter.com
Thank
is
you.
the website.
Emerald Isle
Emerald Isle.
Charter.com.
Mhm.
Sally Said So
.com. Yeah.
.com. And what is Emily's company?
Pupcaketreats.com. That's PUPKAKE
And I will
treats.com.
say this about dogs because I've like you, I've sat through many B&I presentations and people
Mhm.
talk business. They have pictures up there of their partners and whatever humans. The second a dog comes up on the screen, half the room goes, "Oh,
Oh,
yeah." So, folks, more people would take care of their dogs better than their family members. You've seen enough of that, right?
absolutely.
They'll pay to train their
Absolutely.
dog. They're not going to pay to help their family members.
Look, they won't buy health insurance for their kids, but they'll pay for training for their dog.
All right, I got another quote from this show. Man, you're just lighting
Yes,
these
sir.
up. Yep.
Yep,
All
yep.
right, folks. So, Nanny's Fishing, Nanny's Revenge Fishing Charter in Morehead City. You can find information on that at Emerald Isle Charter.com.
Emerald Isle Charter.
Yeah, Sally said so. You can find that. Emily got all that. I tell a lot of people on the show we need to outsource things to experts. That would certainly apply for Sally said so. But sometimes you got to spoil yourself. Call Shane and go out on his boat and just have fun with that. Spoil yourself, save some money. It'll be worth it in
Yep.
the long run because the ratio of stories to dollars spent are way higher with you than most other places we spoil ourselves, right?
This is true. And you can do a walk-on trip for $400 versus
Ooh,
having to have 1850 for the boat
okay.
for the whole day. Yeah, so groups and walk-ons.
And
So,
we know that the fish that got away was this big, right? Let me tell you. Yeah. So we know that.
yeah.
But you got to
Oh
get
yeah.
off the boat to be able to tell the story. You can't make that story up from the pier.
That's
So,
correct. Hey, no pictures or it didn't happen.
there you go. I like that. All right, Shane, thanks for coming on the show, man. This has been a blast. Love the
Thank you
stories.
for the opportunity.
I sense that there'll be another show because I believe we didn't get to it. We got to about 12% of what I wanted to get to.
Yeah,
So we got more, and I'll certainly get up with Emily to have her on, talk about her business as well.
that'd
So
be great.
folks, go check out stuff, either going out on a boat or getting your dog trained, and you know your dog probably needs to be trained a little bit. So
Oh yeah.
anyways, glad to have you on the show, Shane. Yep, and Shane, hang on through this, okay? And
Mhm.
we will see everybody next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.